G'day and welcome to this video on how to summon the Megapithecus on the Fjordur map. We're going to go through each of the caves and artifacts that you need to summon the boss, and then show you where the location of the boss actually is for summoning for those people who are doing it on the server. To start off with, we'll do the cave of the Devourer, which is up in the Arctic area at 3.1, 3.5. The cave is actually under the water, so you'll need to bring a nice creature like my sausage whale here, which is a Basilosaurus, and it will help you avoid things like the Nidaria and things like that, as you're not affected by the stings. The cave itself is full of things like megalodons and stuff like that. Again, the Nidaria, the Electrofusus, the eels, whatever they're called. And I did run into an alpha along my trip, an alpha meg, and so just expect that kind of stuff along the way. The cave is very short and very linear, so once you've actually reached the end, there's a little dip in the cave which leads you down to the artifact itself, and once you've done that, you've basically gained the artifact of the Devourer. Right, this next cave is on the Swamp Island, basically 49.5 and 14.2, basically on the south east corner of the Swamp Island. This is a gas cave, and someone here has been so nice as to put a sign down basically saying beware of the poisonous gas. I have prepared myself a gas mask ahead of time, and that's basically what we're going to use. There is a number of very interesting things in here. We'll get ourselves one of these guys. I've turned enemy invisible on for describing this cave so I can show off what you're going to run into. So we can already see here, as soon as you come in, there are Desmodus on the ceiling. There's basically another two over there. So there's one thing to basically be sure of when you come down here, that you don't rush as soon as you come into the place, because the Desmodus will basically just swoop on you right from the very start, pick you up, and once you shoot them to release you, you get dropped down the bottom here. And that in and of itself is also quite dangerous, because once you get down to the bottom here, you find an area full of the Ariano, full of snakes, full of Megalania, and obviously you've then got Desmodus on the ceiling that are constantly picking you up and dropping you off your mount down the bottom here. So death is basically awaiting you very quickly. At this point, you basically have a choice of either going left or right. The right-hand path leads to a small isolated cave where there's some drops and there's some runestones, so you pretty much want to take the left-hand path if you want to make it to the artifact. And that's the way we're going to go right now. After a short distance, you'll come across a rather picturesque swampy grotto with a large tree in the middle where the artifact resides. You'll need something like climbing picks or grapples or Desmodus, something like that to basically get across, and you then have the artifact. The artifact of the brute. The final cave that we're doing, 2157, is basically one that we've actually done before. It is this molten cave in here. I think it is actually called the Molten Cave. Yes, Molten Caverns. The main trick you will have to deal with is the jumping through the start point. Once through to the other side, obviously Desmodus will just allow you to fly through, and then inside you then have the Pulmonoscorpus, the Arianos, Onyx, Arthropleura, and all those other fun creatures in here. There are several drops in here, unlike the other caves that we've done so far. To the right is the artifact of the Clever. You can come down this little bit of a ramp down here. On the left as you come in, there'll basically be a drop usually as well, just over there on that little bit of a shelf. The artifact itself, the artifact of the Clever, it's usually it alternates between a yellow and a red drop. And there's a red drop down on the ground there. The alternate path is where we'll find the artifact of the pack. There's usually a red drop on a shelf up there, and you have the artifact itself down here. And the last thing that you need to do is get the runestone from Steinbjorn. You can use the portal chamber at 40.5, 57.5 to travel over to Jotunheim, the ice realm, and from there, once you've actually travelled over, you head pretty much straight north until you find a small lake, and there's a little cave on the side of that lake which will take you to the summoning point for Steinbjorn. The Steinbjorn fight costs the usual 30 runestones, which you'll get by killing alpha creatures out and about on the map. The main thing with the Steinbjorn fight is a bear, which is covered in stony, icy armor, which makes it treated a bit like a rock elemental. And as a result, you need creatures which will bypass that damage reduction. The simplest creature to do the fight with is a Giga. If you have an imprinted Giga, it will pretty much be able to solo the fight and you won't really much have an issue with it. I tried a few different methods. I actually tried some Magmasaurs, because the Magmasaurs do actually go through that under armor reduction, but without assistance they do actually die off. I took 10 Magmasaurs and they actually all died. The other one was I did it with Rexes, but I did it with Rexes with a Daedon, and those Rexes were my army Rexes, and so they actually had very good saddles, and they were doing like 35 damage a bite. So it's something to be kept in mind that you can do it with a bunch of different styles of creatures, but you have to treat it very much like one of those bosses where you bring in like a Yudi, a Daedon, have the real good saddles and all the rest of it. But if you just have an imprinted Giga, it will tear Steinbjorn to shreds. Now that we have all of the artifacts, we're here at about 5785, and this is where the cave is for summoning the Megapithecus itself. It's only a short distance in. You'll find there's a kind of a fork in the path here. You want to take the left hand path. You'll find Arthur Plura, you'll find Spinos amongst other things, and a nice arrangement of gems, Carcanos, but here we basically have the summoning portal for the Megapithecus. From here, all it really is to use your creature of choice. For me, that is a Rex when I'm fighting the Megapithecus. My Rexes have a 150 armor saddle, about 15,000 health, and currently, at least this one, which was the Gamma fight, the melee was only around 600 melee, but I'll push that up to more like about 1,000 melee once I actually get up to doing the Alpha fight, and maybe even better. So these guys have got a really good setup and a really good base set of stats, so I'm really quite happy with them. And yeah, that brings us pretty much to the end. This is how to summon the Megapithecus on the Fjordur map. Make sure you let me know down in the comments what you think. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.